G'day, Aussie Bonsai Bloke, here you go. Today is going to be something different. Gonna take the car, take my daughter, we're going to McDonald's as well, but we're going to be heading to a nursery and looking for a juniper to start as a beginner bonsai, because I used to have a juniper and I sold it and I decided I want another juniper. So we're going to go for a drive, go and have a look, see what we can find, have a look in the nursery and look for a juniper, and hopefully this video will get to style a juniper, go from going to get it at the nursery to bringing it home, styling it for the first time, like what a lot of beginners might do, and all for the price of $10 to $15 probably, or if we do see a better one for dearer, we'll get that too. So let's do it. Should be a fun video, and I'll catch you in the car. Cheers. Tire's coming. We have arrived. And just walk around the garden, have a bit of a look. Looks like we got a lot of flowering stuff here. Some succulents. Beautiful garden. Let's go find something for bonsai. Okay guys, well I was really after a juniper, can't find one, so I found some callistemons here, and I love my callistemons. So $14, you can have something, you know, reasonable trunk on it. I could get a little John, very slow growing though, and I'm impatient, so I might skip past that one. This red alert here, straight trunk at the bottom, not sure, could make something if you angled it, mucked around with it, but then again maybe I will get this little John, because I don't have a little John, I don't think. I think my other one's something else. And I can't find a juniper, and I feel weird if I walk out empty-handed, so little John it is. Okay, let's get that one. Okay, so I thought this had pretty good healthy growth for a little John, growing fast, and I just worked out why. Look at this. She's grown into the ground. Jesus, man, get out of here. Oh. Look at that. Bloody beauty. Bloody beauty. Good one, little John. So we just get a plant for mum as well. This is what Knott's is known for, is their indoor plants and their ferns. Look at this. Beautiful in here. Fish. Little fishy.
Look at that fish.
Wow, look at that big one. Oh, massive, mate, massive.
Look at the little baby fish.
Tiny ones, big ones. Look at that big fat one. He's a fatty. Okay, but look at this, just beautiful. Just stunning in here. Anyway, we'll grab this one and the other one, and then we'll move on and have a look elsewhere.
Look at that pot.
That's pretty cool, isn't it? It's made out of an old fern, I reckon. In the boot you go, little John. In the boot you go, mate. Bloody beauty. Okay, new nursery. And here we go in the potting mix section. Oh, they've only got propagation mix. Ah, here we go. Debco Premium Potting Mix. That's the one I use. Okay guys, this is all the section they have. I will say something. You want a juniper, don't look for one in Murraybridge, because that's all they have. But for the purpose of the video, I might buy this little guy here. That's what it is. We've got our bonsai mix. And maybe it's not juniper season. Who knows? Maybe they sold out. But that's what we got. Okay, so Taya ended up buying herself some weird squishy dog at the nursery. That's so weird. That is so weird. Flat dog, fat dog, sitting up dog, pull her up in the air. Normal dog. Cute. Well guys, after a disappointing trip, we did get Little John, which I'm now calling Big John, because Little John turned out to be Big John because he took over the whole gravel bed at the nursery. So we've nicknamed him Big John. So we got Big John and we got that fairly crappy juniper, but let's go and make something out of it. G'day guys, welcome back. Well, been to Macca's, been to the nursery. As you can see, the nurseries in Murraybridge, there's only two. Don't have much of a range. They just seem to have succulents, a lot of indoor plants, which is a craze at the moment, and a lot of irregular stuff, but they don't have junipers at all. And I thought a juniper was pretty regular. Yeah, what are you doing? Get here. Come up. Good boy. What are you banging for? What you banging for? Trying to go out? Silly puppy. Silly puppy Leo wanted to go out. So, we got a couple bags of bonsai mix. We got this pretty poor representation of a juniper, but we'll see how it goes. This is a Juniper Horizon Talus, which is Andorra Compact, and that's it. It's a bluey purpley foliage. One good thing, I was hoping to get a good procumbence nana, but you know, junipers are junipers as far as how you look after them. One good thing, it's not spiky in the foliage, so that's pretty cool. And we'll just see how we go in time with that one. Also, we got a little John, which I'm calling Big John. So here's Big John because Big John here grew a long way into the gravel bed, as you could see in the video. And he'd seriously gone astray. He obviously decided his pot's too small and he wanted to keep on going. So that's why he had some vigorous growth. But we're not going to work on that one right now. We're going to work on the juniper. So let's work on the juniper. We'll come back to Big John later. Okay, so I'll probably do Big John in a separate video because I want to keep this one about the juniper. So let's work on this juniper. Okay guys, so you've got to that stage, you've gone to the nursery or Bunnings or wherever, because you probably find this at Bunnings, and you've found your first plant, which happened to be a juniper, and you've now got it home and you want to style it. So that's what this video is about. So where to start? Okay, well, let's bring you in closer now, because you don't want the whole frame to be my ugly head. You want it to be the juniper, don't you? Okay, so first things first, let's look what we got. As you can see, here's the old tag. It says it grows 1.2 meters wide in the first 10 years. So not very big. So that's it. Okay, so first things first, let's pull it out the pot. Okay, we've got good roots. Now, we just want to rake out the soil a bit. Now, you guys just starting, or maybe it's your first tree ever, you're not going to have a lot of tools, so I'm going to do everything very basic. Okay. Just going to use my fingers here check out the base. So we just want to take the top sort of inch off and make sure there's not a stronger base down further, which can quite often be the case. I'll get a screwdriver. Everyone's got a screwdriver. And what you want to do, you just want to poke around here, okay, and just clear some soil away from the top and just see whether or not there is a better root base hidden down in the soil. If not, we'll just deal with what's on the top here and that'll be that. But if it does get stronger and bigger, well, we can always cut the top ones off and opt for the lower ones. So we'll just keep working away. Just keep getting rid of some of this soil on top. I'm starting to feel a stronger one in here. Okay, I feel like we're getting down to as far as we want to go down. Hit some little bit bigger roots here, and probably as big as they're going to get for this little tree. Feel like we're done. So now what we want to do is get some scissors. You can use anything for this, just bear with me for a sec. Okay guys, so I've got some scissors. Any scissors will do, even some pruners, but I do have some decent bonsai scissors, so I'll be using them. And you just want to chop any of these high ones off that aren't going to become part of the root base, because we've decided there's a slightly better root base down further. So we want to chop anything above that root base that's further down. We want to chop that off and work our way down to it. Okay, once you get to it, it's probably enough for now. You don't want to go crazy and fully expose it now. You just want to make sure you're on about that plane. So I can feel there's a good one here, which you can just see. There's another one here, you can see where I've sort of pulled it back to there. You can see some white there. Okay, some good roots there, and a few out the front here. Okay, just a few more up top. So you just want to clean the ones higher up off of there. You could hose it off a bit if you want to see it better, but I know it's there. I can feel it, and that's as far as I want to expose it for now. I don't want to fully expose these roots and have them exposed at such a young age of the tree. At the moment we just want to work out where our front might be. So what else we got here? Not a lot to work with. You can either lift it up on a big angle. Now you've got to choose a front. So to choose a front, you look for the best sort of root base. Okay, it's hard for you guys to see it because this pot mix is black and it all blends in. But it's not a bad root base out like that. And in the back I can feel there's nothing back there. So I'm going to opt to go with these ones here that come out the front. So that'll mean the front will be that way somewhere. But we've got a fairly major problem with that being a front, is this branch here. If we want to keep that, you don't want your first branch to be right on the inside of a big curve like that. So it's going to be an awkward tree to work on. Okay, a lot of people, when you go to a demo, what they'll do is they'll cut everything off, wire this up, put one branch out here, another one here, and then cut it off at the top and they're done. But I want to try and utilize what the tree's given us now, so that hopefully we can develop this tree a little bit quicker. Okay, so if we're going to use this one here, we're going to have to seriously try and bend something. These are reasonably flexible, but we're going to have to either spin it or bend something so that this branch here looks like it's on more of an outside of a curve rather than on the inside, and maybe even tilt it that way a bit too, so that that branch looks like it comes out the side, and then maybe twist the top around like that as much as we dare, and then that can become part of the top. But then we've also got this other big branch here, and we don't want to be bending everything back that way and then having this big one on the inside of the curve either. So I think what we do is we tilt it, have this one like that, that one out there, then we've got a big back branch here, and then we can just twist the top around however we want and try and keep most of these branches, and we'll even have a few little side branches. So let's do that. Keep it simple. Remember, this is your first tree, your first iteration of a bonsai that you've tried, so just keep it pretty simple. But I do recommend, don't just go chopping everything off, because a lot of people would go, oh, that's on the inside of a curve, chop that off, keep this one, okay, chop this one off because that's on the inside of a curve in a weird angle, and then we might keep this one, bend it back here, and maybe keep a little bit at the top, and that would be it. That would be your demo done of someone trying to show you how to do it. But I'm going to try and keep everything, and then in the future you can cut something off if you don't like it, but chances are everything will end up growing in and becoming part of the trees. We've got to get some fat wire on this. Let's get some fat wire. Okay guys, got a bit of wire. This wire is straight out of electrical cable. Hasn't been treated, nothing's been done to it. Just for this main bit of copper wire. So what I want to do now is think about which way I want to twist this top. I probably want to twist it we lift that to the side, probably around forwards. So if I want to twist that forwards around like that, I also want to wrap the wire in the same direction, so clockwise, because I'll be twisting this sort of clockwise. if I was to twist it anti-clockwise, I'd want to wrap the wire anti-clockwise. So let's go around. I'll put the wire in the back. Now I may need to put 2 pieces of wire because even though it is a small tree, it's still going to take a little bit to bend. And you want to, before we start, let's clear some of these inside little shoots off. We don't need them. Just the ones right on the inside of all the main branches that we're going to keep. Just so we've got somewhere to lay the wire without it getting caught up all over the tree. Same up here. Go to where this branch divides and just clean some off. Because you only want generally two divisions from one spot. So we just clean an area so that we can put some wire down. So the main branches are still there. Got rid of all the little wispy ones, and let's lay some wire down. Lay down. Oh, I'll leave that one there for now. Right. So just wrap it. You want to use your 2 hands. So one to hold the wire, and the other one to twist around, because you want the other hand to support the branch as you're twisting it. And then you got to decide, this one here I would say will be the main leader, this one will be another branch. So we want to run this wire where it divides, we want to run it up the main one. Careful not to get your foliage caught underneath the wire. And then when it gets too tough to bend around a little branch, you can chop the wire, and if you need to run extra wire up there later, some thinner stuff, you can. Okay, so we got it to that stage. We're going to be leaning it over that way, if I remember rightly. So we've got a root there. That way would just make it worse. So we just want to now bend and twist this around forwards and hope that it holds. Okay, so it looks like one piece might be enough. It looks like it's held its shape pretty well. You can bend some weird movements in, down, and then back up if you want to. It will break if you go too far. Let's hope we don't do that, but it will if you go too far. So that's probably enough for now. I want, in the long run, I want quite a short, wide tree. So for now, I think that's probably okay for the main trunk. Probably do something like that. And then come back up, and it'll be a short, wide tree. This branch here will move into here somewhere. We've got a back branch, a side branch now. And we'll just see what happens. Okay. So now we want to come in here, clean up all this small wispy stuff again. We got our main branch out here that we're going to keep. Clean up all your little baby shoots in there. Keep your bigger branches. And, you know, it won't look anything handsome when it's finished, but it'll be the start of something. And we're obviously going to want to shorten this pretty well, so let's do it now. And branches that are too thin to wire, we're just not going to wire for now. Clean up the insides of the branches a bit so that you can run wire out there. Try not to make any rash decisions. Just clean up the inside a bit. Come out here and just chop it. Don't want it too long. This little branch at the back here, I think it can go. So you just want to keep a few main branches. And then later on, as you get all these out like that, and some of these side ones get stronger, you can create different pads at different levels. We're just doing a very, very simple style at the moment, just to set some structure, and that's it. We're just setting some structure on the main branches, chopping it back, and then leaving it at that. Alright, so let's run wire out on the rest of it now. When you want to wire two branches together. So here we got two branches here. So we want to wire one around this branch. Remember, 2 hands, but we just want to do one lap and then come back to this side. Okay, and then we want to wire it around this back branch here. So you've got two branches together, so that way when you bend one, it sort of anchors against the other branch so it doesn't move around. You always want to try and wire two branches at once. Run your wire at, I don't know, 50 degrees, 60 degrees angle down the branch. That's far enough. I'm only doing the main primary ones, so okay, run it down there, down there. Now we want to run, see this one here, I ran it up this branch here 1.5 turns. Just make sure you guys can still see, which you can, lucky. We'll come back a little bit. So you can see here, I ran that up that branch 1.5 turns. So now what I'm going to do is that will become an anchor for there, and we'll stop this from flopping around because you've got that on there. If I was to stop the wire there and then run this branch around these two this wire around these two branches, these two could just flop around on their own because they've got no structure. But because they've got that wire there, there's structure. So I'll just clean out the insides of these crotches a little bit. Don't want it too congested. If you rip stuff out, they do back bud, so don't worry too much. But don't ever, on a juniper, cut all the green off. You cut all the green off, it's dead. It'll never shoot back. Just won't. You've got to always leave some green on. Okay, now you want to follow that original wire there, run it up the branch. I tend to always do everything clockwise and then bend most of my branches clockwise. But if you wire it clockwise and then bend your branch anti-clockwise, what can happen, or what does happen, is that sort of unwinds the wire as you twist the branch anti-clockwise, which is the opposite to what you want. So just keep that in mind. If you want to bend a branch anti-clockwise, wind your wire anti-clockwise. Okay, so here I've just done 2 wraps along this branch here, and then I'll be wrapping it along the back branch here. You always need to go, even if it's only a short section, out onto another branch, so it's got something to anchor it. Because if you only had it stop here at the trunk and then you go to bend it down, it wouldn't stay down, it would just flop around. But by having it back here, this bit of wire in the crotch here, which comes back on here, has the strength to hold the branch where you put it. Okay. Once again, keep it pretty clean. Try not to squash too much foliage underneath. You want your size of your wire strong enough that it'll bend the branch without flopping back. Here, if I was to use this wire, you can see that's way too strong. So we're going to get some thin stuff out. Now I don't run a very tight ship here, so everything's in a bit of a mess, bit of a tangle, but we'll deal with it. So cut off sort of length that you think you might need, and you want to run enough that it gets down that branch there, and you wrap it around. Use the other hand to move the foliage and help support the branch as you bend the wire around it. So you definitely need to be using 2 hands to do this. Okay, so one hand's constantly moving. In actual fact, your left hand is doing more work than your right hand doing the bending. Your left hand's constantly moving foliage and helping support the branch, holding the wire so that you can wrap it around without doing damage. So just remember that. Wiring is 2 hands. And although it may look simple, and it is simple, it's not hard, you just got to keep in mind to support everything and make sure everything has an anchor. If you want to wire one branch on its own, well, you have to make sure then that you go around the trunk so that you can anchor it onto the trunk. But if you do just anchor it straight to the trunk, you have to do a good couple of wraps to get a good anchor point. Now it's obviously not going to go in a show, so the wire doesn't need to be overly pretty. But if you do take a little bit of pride of getting your wire wraps good, generally the better it looks, the better it works. Okay, so then we've got to get to the front. I'm actually finding this juniper super itchy. Getting really itchy. Okay. Okay guys, so she looks like absolute poo at the moment, but this is how you'll all start. And generally I have to say, the reason why most beginners' first trees look fairly ordinary, it's not because of their skill level. I mean, that comes into it, but I think it's more to do with the fact that the choice of stock or the quality of stock that they use is so poor that it's extremely hard to make something good out of it. A bit like this one here, the quality of the stock that I start with here is extremely poor to the point that I generally wouldn't use it, but I just want to do a nice beginner video of something that everyone can go and find somewhere. Surely you can find something even as crap as this somewhere. And I wanted it so you could relate to it and not find some really expensive, you know, bit of stock to start with. I just wanted something nice and cheap and easy. And like I say, I think that's a lot of the beginner trees that are pretty poor. Generally to do with poor stock to start. The better the quality of the stock that you start with, the better the outcome of the tree that you first style. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with that. This is going to be our front. We were going to angle it up like that. Or was it like that? I think it was like that. Okay. So that way, these roots here, when they get fatter, will be at the same level as those. And this here can be a drooping sort of branch. Okay. Now I don't want to cascade. It's just not my style. I just want to be able to move some branches around, get some shape into them. And the pads later will help, you know, fix up any problems in here. So go a bit down as well there. We'll just bend out a nice pad here. Eventually, when these side ones grow, we'll create another pad up higher. But for now, I think just a single pad is about all it can handle. Maybe I could do a higher one up here. Okay. Basically, you just want to move it around a bit, create some interest, and that'll be another pad up there. Back branch, same thing. You just want to move it into spots that are vacant. Keep some bending going. Try to avoid any super straight sections. Okay, I want to try to keep it so that I can trim these back and have them reasonably on a, you know, horizontal plane. Same with here. This side branch here, I want to be able to curve that around. Maybe even go at the back, curve it right around like that. Then maybe even back out like that. And I could maybe get some wire on some of those smaller ones there. Clean up some inside branches here. Causing havoc. This one here, we can clean up some shoots on the inside. Bend it out like that. You know, and this is pretty well all it is, you know, you just bend stuff around, and over time, hopefully it starts to look more and more interesting. You want the top generally, in general, to go towards you. So I'll try to do that. Okay, so I'm actually trying to twist it the opposite way to what the wire was put around that branch. Which is why I was saying before, you got to try to make it go the same way, or it actually becomes hard to bend those branches. It wants to fight you all the way. Alright, so pretty ugly, I know, but you know, it's got some sort of shape there. Got some, really don't like this branch here. Maybe I'll go up a bit as well. Maybe create a pad out there with some of those little branches. Let's do that. I'll just put some wire on them. So some of these little branches here are probably just strong enough to think about putting some wire on to bring them out. There's an inside one here that I want to get rid of, inside the curve. Some more up here. A couple of these are going to head outside, but I'm going to let them strengthen up first. There's no point wiring little ones like that now just to create a finished look. They're just too small. These two here are marginal. You know, I could probably wait till next time I work on it, but I will just put a little bit of wire on them now because they are just getting to the size where you can actually do a tiny bit of wire around them. I'm just going to do wire around the very initial first part of the branch just to direct them in the direction I want them to go, but I'm not going to wire out the whole length of each branch. Okay, so we've started with some pretty poor stock here, which is just a really good representation of what a lot of people find. I mean, this is a classic example of, you know, something that you find in Bunnings. And to be honest, when we finished here and you got a trim on it, you probably put it in Bunnings and they put $45 on it, $50 on it, and it's cost us, you know, I think it was $12 or $14, something like that. So I might go a low one here. Then a higher one there. Maybe bend that down a bit more there. You can see how when I bend things they're staying. It's because I've put enough, strong enough wire on to be able to hold position. Something just beeped. Okay guys, I've just changed the angle of the camera because I realised you're looking down. I don't know why, this is making me super itchy. They're not spiky though, they're quite soft, so it's weird. Never normally get itchy from a tree. So, what do we got here? We've got some branches here. Just twist that one a bit more that way. Might put that one up in the air as a pad out here. That'll fill in as a pad out here eventually. Obviously not today, it's a bit small. This one here can be a pad out the back. So now you're just aiming to put pads in all areas to fill in all areas of the tree. So eventually you can end up with pads everywhere. And this, you know, a lot of people might think, especially more experienced people, might think, you know, you've really made a mozza of that one. But, you know, to be honest, I feel like in, you know, another five or so years time, you'll start to really see the direction that I'm going to head in this tree. And I think it'll make, you know, even though it's a pretty poor stock to start with, I think it'll eventually make something decent. Just not overly happy with the straight section in there, but I don't know whether I can get it out of there. But anyway, doesn't matter. I've got this one to hide it. That's what foliage is for on a juniper, because they're an evergreen. You can hide mistakes or problem areas with foliage. So let's have a pad there, pad out here. Maybe a pad down here. Now remember, we're going to be leaning it that way a bit. So let's just try to style it while leaning it a bit. Might even go up there with that one, then down with that one. That one there can then come back across the front here to hide that straight section. And for now, I'm pretty happy with that. It's just how it's going to be for today. Anything super ugly? Not really. It's doing okay. Okay, now let's just give it a bit of a trim. Now ordinarily you wouldn't just trim the tops of needles off like that because they go brown. You would come in here and carefully cut a branch, which you can do if you don't want to see any brown tips. Just cut it in between the leaves. That there, well, yeah, let's just cut it a bit. But at the moment it doesn't really matter, you know. If it bruises some cuts a bit for now, it's not like it's anywhere near a show. Anywhere near a show yet, which is when I would start to care a bit more about getting brown needles. But I will cut it properly now that I've mentioned that. So you can see this branch here is already starting to thicken up here. Get rid of some of this inside branching that we're not going to need. That one there can be kept and used as a lower branch later on, so I will keep that one. I'll just clean off some inside stuff there. This one here could become a potential pad out the front. This one here, well, I feel like it's not needed. This one here could stay. That one there could become a pad out the back, so I'll keep that. That one there is probably excess, and we'll probably keep, maybe just thin it out a bit, but we'll probably keep most of that. Okay, this branch could become something at the back. This one in the inside, we'll get rid of that. This one here could fill in an area there. So you just got to think about the angle that they come off the branches could be used to fill in an area. Okay, and we'll just shorten off this branch here. We are at the back of the tree, so I'll keep that a little bit shorter. Okay, and same with here. I want to keep this a bit shorter because this is the back of the tree and we don't want that to dominate. So I will be cutting back a fair bit shorter. Let's cut to here for now. Okay, this one here can go. One under here can go. Inside there can go. That could become a branch out here. Okay guys, well I hope you didn't miss too much because the phone went flat, or the camera. But pretty well that's it. We're going to be planting it on that angle, leaning it towards you guys or the viewers, and styling everything around that. And obviously there's still some really small branches which I'm not going to bother wiring. This will need another good solid wiring next time. Junipers do need a good couple of solid wirings, I believe, to get them to look anything decent. They're a very hard thing to do, clip and grow, but very easy to do with wire. So there you go. And then as things like these grow out here, that will then create another pad there, and we'll just keep filling in the gaps with pads. And then what will happen is at the start you'll actually start using a lot of these shoots to fill in areas and create their own little pads. But then as the tree gets bigger and bigger, what will end up happening is those pads become too many, and you'll actually start reducing the pads again as it gets older and getting less and less pads again. So anyway, let's not get ahead of ourselves. That's the little tree. I think we've done pretty well for what it was. It wasn't a great tree. Still not a great tree, but it does have some shape to it, and it looks like it's got a bit of potential. It's about all we can say for this little guy. But, you know, couldn't find much in Mowbridge. I'll just come back to the front, make sure that we've got everything pretty well right. And just remember too that nothing at the moment is hard and fast as far as where it's positioned. You can come back here later if you see something that you don't like and position it to where you like it more. Okay, so here I probably would want to bring that around to the front more. Okay, now by bringing that around to the front and down more, all of a sudden we've got rid of the idea of needing that back one, which then cleans that up a bit more. So, you know, just spin it around, look at it. You're gonna have plenty more days training on your tree, so it doesn't need to be finished today. Exaggerate your bends a bit, and that's it. So let's now just clean the table off. Clean off the table. Now so far, apart from a few roots at the top, we haven't actually got rid of any roots. And I'm not planning on it because, one, for me it's the wrong time of year to be repotting a tree. We're actually in winter here in Australia, so I'm just going to tease the bottom here a little bit. Just tease it, just like that, and that's it. Get rid of that as well. Now we're going to go and find a pot and put it in a pot. Okay guys, I found a pot. We want to super oversize the tree for the first few years into a pot because we want maximum growth. We don't want to be putting it into a tiny pot and getting little growth when the tree is already so young and needs so much growing. So this is just a bit of gutter guard. I'll just chop that, put it in the bottom of the pot, sit it there. Nothing special, no wiring, nothing. Then I'll grab some of our mix that we bought, put a hole in it. Put some in the bottom, maybe a bit of a mound in the middle. Right, now we just want to wiggle it in at the angle that we're planting it, which is, well, I don't even have the front facing towards you. So find the front, choose where you got the front, because now it's pretty critical as to where you want the front, because it's going to make it easier to style later. So that's definitely the front there somewhere. Maybe something like that. Okay. Then we just want to wiggle it in. You can go slightly to the left, just off center. Make it more interesting. Wiggle it in hard. And then all we're going to do now is fill in the rest around the place. Now you got to remember what we started with here. It wasn't the greatest of stock to make a bonsai, so please be kind to me. It was super difficult to try and make something out of that. Super difficult. Now I'm going to pile it up. We've got plenty of room to grow into. Now I'm not going to chop stick and muck around like that, because we didn't take a lot of we didn't bare root it, so we don't have to work soil into the roots. What I'm going to do is squash it in hard and tight. Okay. Grab another handful. Now the reason I'm sort of mounding it up a little bit here is because I want to give it the most amount of growing room as possible, and to put it into a bonsai pot shallow and have it dead flat on the top would mean that you would have to get rid of some roots, and I don't want to do that yet. I want to get this tree super healthy, growing fast, and really develop the tree super fast. So, but at the same time, you know, I could put it in the ground, grow it, or into a big nursery pot, grow it. But that would defeat the purpose for you guys beginning that want to have something that they can style and put into a nice pot and look at. So that's why I've done this into a bonsai pot straight away, because, you know, if you guys are just starting and you're working on your first tree, you want it in a bonsai pot. You don't want to be mucking around, you know, putting it in the ground for 5 years if it's your first tree. You want to be working on it and looking at it, admiring it, looking after it, giving it its little water. Okay, now we get some moss. Let's moss her up as well. I'll just go and get some moss. Hey guys, welcome back. Got our puppy dog here. Down. 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 Up. Go up. Go up. Go up. Okay, that's so cute. You're so cute. Cute puppy. Okay, we got our moss. Found our moss. Let's put some on. Just to make it look nice. Also, it stops it drying out in summers. Keeps it, you know, nice and cool. I think better for the tree, and especially in the Australian climate. But everyone's of their own opinion. Some people don't like moss on their tree unless they're showing. But me, I like moss all year round if I can keep it on there. And I'm happy to do that. I do try to keep it away from the trunk. But if you get lazy, obviously if you're just starting, you won't get lazy on one tree because you won't have enough trees. So you'll have only a couple of trees, so you'll be pretty diligent on the one or two trees. But if you get lazy and the moss goes up the trunk, it can, you know, wreck the bark. But this thing doesn't have bark so much on it anyway that's any decent, so who cares? I just think it makes it look better, and that's all that matters. So pretty simple. So the steps of this tree: 1, we bought it. 2, we cleaned out some areas so that we could run some wire on it. 3, we then put the wire on. 4, movement. And I guess 5 is repotting and moss. So, you know, that's the whole process. That's it. That's as involved as bonsai is. And then as these little branches all develop, you just put more wire on and put them to where you want them to shape the tree. And at a young stage like this, I make it over dramatic, the bends, if you can. You know, really put some good bends in, because as a tree grows, they sort of, I don't know, they soften out or something, I'm not sure, but anyway, that's it. Pretty happy with that. good for now. We're done. So, last thing to do is to grab our water can and give her a water. And you want to water your tree until water starts really coming out the bottom. I don't know what's going on here. I might have a blockage going on. Put it back on. Yeah, that's better. Must have had a blockage. So we want to put on some good water, really get it nice and wet. Till you see it dripping out the bottom. As you're wetting the moss for the first time, try and bind it into the soil. Wet some foliage down. Aftercare for this, well, we got rid of foliage but not too many roots. So my aftercare, I'll put it straight out in the full sun. Try to keep it out of wind, but you do want it outside in full sun. Don't try and grow one of these junipers inside. If you just bought one, put it outside straight away or you're going to kill it. Don't muck around trying to grow them inside. They're not meant to be inside. They're an outside tree. Outside, full sun. If there is a little bit of wind around and you can't help it, you could put some big rocks on top here to help hold it down like Nigel Saunders does on his channel. But all in all, that's it. You know, I'm going to put it out now. You know, fairly wind protected area but in full sun, and then when it puts on a fair bit more growth, I'll keep an eye on the wire, cut it off when it starts biting too much. I'll cut it all off, and then by then I'll probably have to rewire the whole tree out to start creating more pads. But I'll show you guys that process as well. Probably, well, we're in winter, so it's going to be another 6 months before that happens, but I'll keep you guys posted. If you subscribe, you'll get a notification when I do an update on this one. And yeah, really cool. Working on a juniper again. I haven't had one for a while. I sold the old ones off, and I decided I want to get another juniper. So here we are. Let's see if it's dripping out the bottom yet. No, bottom hole is still dry, so keep on going. Anyway, I'm not going to bore you guys with waiting until it drips out the bottom, but do make sure you waterlog it nice and properly, especially on the first watering. Then keep it, you know, moist from then on. That's it. No worries. Well, I think we're pretty happy with how it's looking. It's pretty well how it's going to look for now, and I might rearrange some things later. But we've got the primary branches set. That's how they're going to be. Cheers for watching, Aussie Bonsai Bloke. I hope you enjoyed going to the nursery getting this one. I'm going to work on Big John next, so stay tuned for that. But this is mainly was a juniper one, and this is all I could find, but pretty happy with its outcome considering all I could find. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Stay tuned for an update on it. Subscribe to the channel. Comment if you like. Ask for advice, whatever. But anyway, that's pretty well how I start a tree. This is the very start, very first styling. Pot cost $5 or $10 and the tree cost $12, so 20 bucks Australian, which is about $13 US, and there's your bonsai. So cheers, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.